On the pandemic, I'll show you a sample of stuff in a moment that infuriates me, and I think is starting to infuriate more and more people around the country. But first, infections are up again in New South Wales today, a record number of nearly 700, and they're up in Victoria and the ACT too. But with active cases in New South Wales now at more than 8,000, Gladys Berejiklian has expressed more clearly than ever before the reality of living with COVID. She's pointed out in her press conference today the reality of how this country must learn to live with the virus. She enunciated pretty much what I've been arguing here for weeks and writing about in The Australian, a conclusion that has long been unavoidable according to the facts and the expert opinions.
And I appreciate what we're going through is difficult, but every state in Australia will have to come to terms with the fact that when you get to a certain level of vaccination and start opening up, Delta will creep in. We can't pretend that we're going to be zero cases around Australia of Delta.
It's just the way it is. Gladys is leading the nation in dealing with the horrible reality. Vaccinations are still going apace. More than half the eligible population now has had one jab across the whole country, and more than half of the over 70s are now fully vaccinated. More than 80% of them have actually had one jab. So Scott Morrison has revealed also that from the end of the month, 16 to 40-year-olds can now book Pfizer jabs as well. So we're now well on our way when it comes to vaccination rollout. New South Wales will be the first state to get to some sort of a situation where it's living with the virus. It'll hit 70% the vaccination rate, full vaccination rate in New South Wales in about 6 weeks or so. But in Victoria, it's still all about zero COVID, and Daniel Andrews has even defended his closure of skate parks and playgrounds.
I know and understand it's difficult, but I would just make the point I've had feedback from lots of parents who tell me how hard it is. Yep, I get that, I understand that. But I've also had feedback from lots of parents who say, well, look, you know, with so many kids with this and with the virus in our community and the fact that there is community transmission, that they don't want to take their kids to the local park, the local playground. I've had others who desperately want to do that. I've also had a number of people send me photos of what some playgrounds looked like last week. And they didn't really look like playgrounds. They looked like places where there were hundreds and hundreds of people. This is tough. I know and understand that.
Mate, if parents don't want to take their kids to the playground, no one's forcing them. Just don't close them and stop other children, other parents taking their kids. Now, this brings me to the horrible rules and intrusions we've had to put up with from governments over the past 18 months. We all understand, of course, the need for some restrictions and rules around the pandemic. We understand that. But the enthusiasm right across the spectrum from politicians and health bureaucrats, the way they've taken to nanny state rules, dictating the minutia of our lives and doing it often in a patronising kindergarten manner, well, that's astounded and annoyed me for a year and a half, and we're starting to see more people arc up about it. Just have a look at this sample of what we've all had to put up with.
And click and collect. Do you really need that furniture that I know you can go and click and collect, which is safer, absolutely, than going into the store, but it still means you're putting someone else at risk.
There'll be no more drinking alcohol with your mask off in those circumstances. That will simply not be permitted.
I don't want to see a surge of people outdoors, but we do need to understand that people can walk the dog around the street. Don't talk to your neighbours.
Browsing is not allowed. Whether you're in a supermarket or whether you're anywhere else buying essential items, you have to think about before you leave the home, can I get this online? Do I need to leave the house to go shopping? And if I am leaving the house, you have to plan your visit. What do I need to get? And how can I get those essential items without coming into contact with a lot of people?
If you are at Adelaide Oval and the ball comes towards you, my advice to you is to duck and just do not touch that ball.
Playgrounds, basketball courts, skate parks and exercise equipment, despite the fact that it's outdoors, will be closed from 11:59 p.m. tonight. This spreads amongst kids. And we just can't have those potential transmission sites open.
This ball has been touched by many sweaty men out there on the field. Just go and sanitise your hands before you start eating your chips.
This is not an opportunity to go to Bunnings to browse. This is not an opportunity to hang around the local shops. Get in, get what you need and leave.
Now is not the time to buy outdoor furniture. There will be time before summer to get sun lounges.
So please, when you open your front door, just think for a moment, do you really need to go out? And also, and I'm a great online shopper, could you think about whether you need to do online shopping this week? Do you need those people out in the community delivering packages and things? Maybe just leave them for a week.
Obviously, school holidays are upon us, so we've, based upon the advice of the Chief Health Officer, allowed for people to go on holidays, but subject to quite stringent rules. You'll be required to wear a mask if you're from Perth and Peel, and you'll only be able to go to a venue to get takeaway. You won't be permitted to go to any functions or events or pubs or clubs or restaurants or the like.
How do these people even get it into their mindset that they can talk to their fellow Australians like this? I mean, and if you don't eat your peas, you're not going to get any dessert. My strong tip to these politicians and bureaucrats is that they should remember who they work for, and they should speak to their citizens like they're, adults.